بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. Unfortunately, despite the fact that I tested and left a message for you, but now we have problem with the camera again. So we are just going to have audio session, and I am sorry that you were delayed. I hope you find what is the reason for this problem, because it's okay. We reached verse 7 of Surah Taha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإن تجهر بالقول فإنه يعلم السر وأخفى. One of the qualities of Allah that need a special emphasis and stress in His knowledge. I already talked about this when I talked about Arsh, and that ulama say Arsh also relates to His knowledge. But here more clearly, after talking about His ownership and control over whatever is in the skies and the earth and between them and in the inside and in the internal layers of the earth, Allah says, وَإِن تَجْهَرْ بِالْقَوْلِ فَإِنَّهُ يَعْلَمُ السِّرَّ وَأَخْفَى. And if you speak aloud, then indeed He knows the secret and what is even more hidden. أخفى. Khafi means something which is concealed, what is hidden. And akhfa means more concealed or more hidden. The commentators of the Quran have discussed about what is meant by akhfa. What can be more hidden than secrets? So some people have said that sir means when we speak very quietly with each other, like whispering to each other, so that only the one that we want understands. And akhfa is that not saying anything. It's in your heart. It's not spoken. So sometimes we speak aloud. Sometimes we speak only to someone or few people, like whispering to them. And sometimes it's not even spoken. It's in the heart. That is more hidden than the one which is spoken to a very specific person that was meant to understand and we didn't want others to understand. Or some people have said secret is what is in the heart, and what is more hidden is what no one has thought about it, only Allah knows about it. Some people have said secret is the action which is done in private, in privacy, and more hidden is the intention. Some people have said secret is the secrets of people, and what is more hidden is the secrets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a hadith from Imam Baqir alayhi salam and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam that secret is what is hidden in your heart, and what is more hidden is those memories that even you have forgotten. So Even you don't have that any more access to that memory. In any case, it seems that all can be correct, all these interpretations can be correct. What is important is to say that whatever is a public knowledge, Allah knows. What is the common knowledge between only selected number of people, Allah knows. And what is only known by someone, it is in his heart or in his memory, and no one else knows, Allah still knows that one. So there is no restriction, no limitation, no barrier for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his knowledge. So he doesn't need us to speak or to write to him. As long as there is a reality, there is something in any part of the world, in any levels of our attention, it is known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah says, Allahu la ilaha illahu lahul asma'ul husna. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that there is no one to be worshipped other than him. Ilah comes from Allah, and it means ma'luh, is the one to be worshipped. There are many people who are worshipped. Sometimes some human beings were worshipped, sometimes some statues were worshipped, sometimes animals or some plants are worshipped. But none of them is worthy, is qualified for being worshipped. The only one who is qualified to be worshipped is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have many ilah, but these are not real ilah. Sometimes even people worship their own desires. Allah says in the Quran, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَى. Have you seen the one who has adopted, who has taken his own lusts and whims as his ilah, as the one that he worships, the one that he unconditionally follow and obey? Because ibadah means to follow something, to obey something without any question, without any condition. Absolute, perfect, complete obedience. So no one other than our Creator, no other than our Savior and Lord is to be worshipped. La ilaha illa hu. This only one God to be worshipped has different names, but all his names are beautiful. Lahul asma'ul husna. He has beautiful names. We have this in also other places in the Quran. For example, there was a debate whether they should call him Allah or Ar-Rahman. The Quran says, قُلِ ادْعُوا اللَّهَ أَوْ ادْعُوا الرَّحْمَنَ. You can call him Allah, you can call him Ar-Rahman, أَيًّا مَا تَدْعُوا. Whatever you call him, he has beautiful names. Al-Asma'ul Husna, the most beautiful names belong to him. According to some hadith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has 99 names. You can call any of those names and your dua will be inshallah accepted and your call will be answered. And similar to this is also possible to be found in the hadith of our Sunni brothers. And sometimes, in addition to the main names, some qualities or actions of Allah are also mentioned. So this can be up to 1,000 or Even we believe that there is no limit. You can use many other names for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as long as you make sure that there is no problem in them. There was a debate in theology whether the names of Allah are tawqifi or not, means we should only use those names which are used in the Quran and Hadith, or we can use other names. For example, one name is wajibul wujud, necessary being. There is no problem in using this name, even if it is not mentioned in the Quran, or perhaps in the film, at least famous hadith, if any hadith has mentioned, would not be at least among the famous hadith. So there is no problem in using such concepts for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or for example, the first mover, uncaused cause, and so on and so forth. But for sure, among all the names that we can use to refer to Him, the best are those which are received through Quran and Hadith. And among all these names, we don't find anything not beautiful, which is not attractive, which is not useful for us to reflect on. Reflecting on the names of Allah, invocating all the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has great positive impact on us. Then from verse 9, we enter into the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. There are many beautiful points about the story of the Prophet Musa, and because according to some hadith, those things that happened to Bani Israel are going to happen also to the Islamic nation, and therefore they have very practical relevance. In many places in the Quran, this story is mentioned. Many verses of the Quran refer to Prophet Musa ala nabiyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam. According to some sources, we have the story of the Prophet Musa more than any other prophet in the Quran. And one of the chapters of the Quran which addresses some of the verses of about the Prophet Musa is Surah Taha. There are many beautiful points, and inshallah we together try to reflect. And I hope also if you think of any important point, you email or send a message so that we share. Okay, first let us look at the beautiful way that Allah opens this discussion. وَهَلْ أَتَاكَ حَدِيثُ مُوسَى. Before actually talking about the story of Prophet Musa, Allah prepares the mind of Rasulullah and of course everyone who reads the Quran by saying, have you received the news of Musa? Have you received the story of Musa? This is a good way to begin. It's a question to draw the attention of the person. Of course, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had no way to know all these facts except through revelation. Yes, some aspects of the story of Musa was known through biblical sources, and maybe among the people of Mecca, Medina, they had some knowledge about Prophet Musa. But many things are mentioned in this Quranic revelation that were not known even to Bani Israel and the people of the book or Ahl Kitab. In particular, Allah wants to refer here to the story of first revelation that Musa alayhi salam received. إذ رأى نارا فقال لأهلهم كثوا إني آنست نارا لعلي آتيكم منها بقبس أو أجد على النار هدى. This is verse 10, and I only mentioned this verse, and inshallah we continue next week because I want to inshallah have the video session also. So we just focus on this verse 10 for today. Prophet Musa ala nabiyana wa alihi wa alayhi salam, as you know, was married to daughter of Prophet Shu'aib ala nabiyana wa alihi wa alayhi salam. The Prophet Shu'aib had asked Musa ala nabiyana wa alayhi salam that you should work for me 8 years or 10 years as a kind of dowry for marriage. And Prophet Musa alayhi salam has agreed for Prophet Shu'aib, and after he finished his work, he wanted to travel. So one night, when he was traveling with his wife, and the night was dark, and according to some sources was also cold, in that cold, dark night, traveling with his wife, he saw a fire. And this is a fire which was not on the road. The fire was somewhere on the side of the road. So Prophet Musa asked his family to stay there, and he himself went to see if there is a guidance for him, a message for him, a signal for him there, or if he can bring some part of fire so that it gives them light and warmth. إِذْ رَأَى نَارًا, when he saw a fire, and said to his family, فَقَالَ لَأَهْلِهِ أُمْكُثُوا, stay here. This shows that first of all, Prophet Musa was very alert. Not only he was watching in front of him, so that there is no danger in front of them, he was also watching on the side of the road, right side, left side, everybody was watching. Maybe there is something useful, or maybe there is something else. Maybe an enemy is hiding himself, maybe a wild animal is there. Anyway, you have to be very careful. You have to open your eyes always and see what is in front of you and what are the things on the side that may somehow come to you. So he was very alert. Then he saw a fire, and his family didn't see this fire. So he saw a fire and informed them that I have seen a fire. And the verb which is used the second time is anastu. The first time says ra'a, he saw a fire. The second time anastu, which means it's a kind of acquaintance, a kind of fire which is friendly. So he said, I have seen a friendly fire. He didn't want his family to worry. He also wanted to give them an indication that there is a hope that this would be a nice fire. So he said, I am going. He didn't take all of them towards the fire. There was no need to take them, there and then bring. They could have stayed there, have a little rest, and he was going to see what is there, and if there is anything useful we can bring for the family. So he said, I have seen a nice or friendly fire. I'm going towards it. Maybe I'm going to bring. He didn't say definitely. As a mu'min, you have to always know your limits. لا تقولن لشيء إني فاعل ذلك غدا إلا أن يشاء الله. Never say that I'm going to do something definitely. Always say, inshallah, maybe I will do this. So he said, maybe I am going to bring from that fire qabas, a little part of it, like a torch. أو أجد على النار هدى, or maybe I find some guidance at the fire. Okay, so he left them there and went towards fire. This fire was a very special fire because when Prophet Musa went there, he realized that it's a bush or a tree which has fire, but it's not being consumed or being burnt. So that was a special fire. And when Prophet Musa went near, he called Allah, he heard Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's call. Allah started talking to him, and this is what we have. كلم الله موسى من شجرة تكليما. Allah spoke to Musa from that tree, and this is why Musa is called Kalimullah, because he was spoken by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He heard a call, a voice. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't speak with mouth and throat, but he can create a voice, and through that voice he can communicate. This is one way of Allah communicating to people. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicates by creating a voice and using a whale, a medium. Sometimes he sends angels. Sometimes also he puts the revelation directly into the heart and mind of the Prophet. ما كان لبشر أن يكلمه الله إلا وحيا أو من وراء حجاب أو يرسل رسولا. One of the three ways. Either directly communicates the ideas, or sends a messenger, an angel like Jibreel, or speaks from behind the veil, like Prophet Musa. So when Prophet Musa went to that fire, he heard, Ya Musa, إني أنا ربك فاخلع عليك إنك بالواد المقدس طوى. Inshallah, we will continue from the verse 11, and please, if possible, read the verses, at least 10, 15 verses, and think about them. If you have some commentaries of Quran, please also read them, so that we will be more prepared for discussion for next week. Okay, question 1. Can you please explain the limits to male-female interaction? Can they be friends? Yeah. If you mean by male-female na-mahram, those who are not like brother, sister, or father, mother, and children, just like classmates or cousins who are not mahram, the answer is that we have to be careful about this matter. In a very natural, very rational and wise way, we have to explain to the children little by little from the very young age that they should observe the rules and regulations, gazing, about looking at each other, and touching, for example, hand of each other, like shaking, and playing and laughing, and so on and so forth. So it's better that we exercise caution here, not by, creating a kind of hatred from male in the female or vice versa, to say to the boy that girl that, for example, to be avoided, or to say to the other side, the same. No. But they should understand that at a matter of haya and modesty, they should not be having close relation. They should not speak more than formal things. They should not become in the sense of playing together, sharing, news too much with each other, spending, private time with each other. We have to be very careful about this issue, but with explanation and with education as well. Question 2. How come our Imam says that when Imam going for Hajj, 6 Imam was shivering? Going to Hajj, going to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a very special experience, because you are saying labbaik to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, here I am. And for Imams, this was a very, very special moment, because when you say labbaik, then you have to be worried. Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going again to say labbaik to you? Because when we say labbaik, he's also going to say labbaik. Or is he going to say la labbaik wa la sa'daik? Maybe Allah is going to reject me. Maybe Allah says, I don't want you to come to me. I don't accept you as a guest, as a friend, because you have been disobeying me. You have been harming yourself and people. So going to a very, very moving experience, if we really understand the spirit of going to that very holy, sacred place in which the holiest people and servants of Allah used to be. Ibrahim, Ismail, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, other prophets and Imams. Question 3. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I challenge this concept that men are more rational. This term implies a lack of intelligence or perception that the woman is somehow inferior due to her emotional nature and needs to be verified by men to be legitimate. I know this is not what you are saying, but this type of talk has this kind of implications, especially here in North America. Where does the Quran say this? Thanks so much for your time. Yes, I don't say, and as you said, we didn't say men are more rational. What we can say is, and I think we said before, is that in women we have very strong emotions. This is very important. This is not a negative aspect or negative quality for women. Emotions for women are very important. If you have a lady who has no emotion, this is not a perfection. These emotions are very important. For ladies, they have to work on controlling, managing, regulating, guiding their emotions. If they are not careful about emotions that they naturally have, then they can be driven by emotions. So they need to exercise some kind of control with respect to emotions. In men, emotions are less, and they need to work more on their emotions. They need to flourish and develop their emotions. The best is to have a combination of strong points in men and strong points in women. And this is where we have family. We have controlled emotion of father plus strong emotions of mother. In this way, a child both receiving enough care and love, at the same time discipline and guidance. This is very beautiful. Of course, sometimes we have women who are very good in controlling their emotions. They are very good in disciplining children. And sometimes we have men who are very bad in their emotions. They are not even able to discipline themselves, let alone their children. So there are always exceptions and minorities, but generally speaking, we need both contributions so that we have a balanced environment for upbringing children. Of course, there are many other things, but for the time being, I just say this. If there is need, I can explain this more in the future. Question 4, Alaykum Salam. Is it possible that the ayah 10 refers to Musa and his family being lost, and hence his statement to perhaps I can bring at the fire some guidance? Normally, I haven't seen that they were lost. They were traveling, but because it was dark night, for sure having some kind of fire would help to see better the road, because in those days roads didn't have light and they could just use the light of the stars. But when it is a dark night, like those nights in which moon is not very shining, it would be difficult for them. But still they were able. This is why they were still moving and not staying in one station. So I don't think they were lost, but this could be helpful for them and make it easier for them. Question 5, was Prophet Musa already a Nabi when he came across the fire? It seems that this is the very first time that he received revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this was the very first time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to him. And as inshallah we will see, Allah first of all introduces himself to Musa, but also by mentioning the first name of Musa. This is relaxing when you see someone mentions your name and introduces himself. Ana Rabbuka, Ya Musa. I am your Lord, O Musa. Question 6. Salam with reference to question 1. What if the interaction non-mahram is with some older who is in their early 80s? Is it wise to give time to them? So is the question meaning that, for example, there is a 80 years old, for example, woman and a young child, boy, for example, I don't know, or two men and women who are 80, both 80, I don't know. In any case, we have to observe certain rulings in all cases, like, for example, shaking hand. And when there is a kind of age from both sides or one side that more things can be there, like, for example, when there is a possibility of like marrying someone, then we have to be more careful. When it is, for example, very young or very old, and the difference is so much that there is no attraction or no possibility of marriage, so we need maybe less ihtiyat, less caution. But when there is a possibility of marrying someone, then we have to be more careful. Sometimes there are ladies that the Quran says they are so old that they have no expectation of marriage. So for them, sometimes there is no need to be very, very careful about not speaking to non-mahram or some levels of perfection of hijab. So This is possible, but some of the elements of hijab and avoiding unnecessary contact still remains. So even an old lady, if it is 100 years old, cannot shake hand with, for example, a person who is like her grandchild. Sometimes people say, oh, this is my child or my grandchild. So, for example, out of love, they kiss or, for example, put their hand on the head of that person. This is not okay. Still, we have to observe these rulings. But talking, sitting together in this age difference when there is no possibility of marriage, of course, it's more relaxed. Okay, I stop here. I again apologize for the technical problem. I know I tested and everything was okay, but then I don't know what happened that again camera stopped working. I'm very sorry and please forgive me. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.